Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you? I hope you are all well today. So, in this video, we will present a case study on physical sports and esports, as well as contemporary challenges. Then, without wasting time, I introduce my group members. First, Muhammad SHAHRUL HAIQAL bin Muhammad SUHAIMI. Next, me, Muhammad, myself, Muhammad Faris IRFAN bin Muhammad SAUFI. Next, Muhammad NADZIM bin GHAZALI. Next, Norman IRHAM AMMAR bin ZULKIFLI. Next, NOOR AMIR AZRIN bin NOOR AFFANDI. So, before we get into the current issues of sports and esports, we already know what is a regular sports, but what is meant by esports. So, esport is short for electronic sports. Is a type of video game competition. Esports are frequently playing multiplayer video game events, especially between professional players, either individually or as teams.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad GHAZALI. So today I'll be presenting one of the arguments opposing playing video games as a sport. So in the gaming community, one of the most popular, if not the most popular consensus about the perception of esports being a sport is that esports have no physical exertion. It is completely common for people playing esports to sit in front of the TV or computer or other devices with a bag of chips and move the controller with one hand while eating snacks with the other. Not only is there no physicality involved, but playing video games often is also unhealthy, whereas sports are proven to improve health and well-being. And in general, sport means all forms of physical activity through which casual or organized participation aim at expressing or improving physical fitness and mental well-being, forming social relationships, or obtaining results in competition at all levels. So this is why one of the reasons why esports are not considered as a sport is that it has different levels of concentration. Some games require virtually no reflexes or high impact play, since every game have different pacing, be it fast paced or slow paced. The pace of the game is turn based compared to FPS shooters or games such as FIFA, which are real time and require strong reactions and reflexes to handle their rapid speed. Even within esports, the differences between all these games will make it difficult to fulfill the requirements of physical exertion and activity to cross the thresholds into sports.
Video games have become popular, especially among youngsters like kids and teenagers, as they do recognize video games as entertainment and playing it to have fun as well as reduce stress. But as years pass by, video games have evolved and become popular in the competitive scenes, as many tournaments and events have been done. So this competitive gaming is also known as esport. This huge evolution makes gaming makes gaming to be more than just a hobby, but also to be as a career. However, there are arguments saying that esport should not be considered as sports, mainly because of the physical exertion of esports. They think that esports only involve like just tapping some buttons or moving the controllers with their fingers. So this little physical exertion making that esports to differ from other sports such as football, badminton, and many others. So to counter the arguments, there are several reasons of why esports should be considered as sports. Firstly, esports do require skills to have in order to play competitively. For professional esports player, they need to learn and master different types of skill, also according to the types of the game they play. Besides, they also need to have good personal or individual skills such as multitasking or problem solving. And critical thinking and quick decision making are also necessary for fast-paced game like action, shooting, and fighting games. And when it comes to competing as a team, they need to have good communication as well as team's chemistry, as players' individual skill is not enough. So, um, being a professional esports player is not as easy as we think, and it needs a lot of times to practice and master all of these skills, which is also same like any other sport. Secondly, esports also deals with a person or team that competes against one another for entertainment. When hobby becomes desire and passion, we can observe many youngsters or esports enthusiasts participate in the esport tournaments or events. Doesn't matter what level they are. They can be beginner or intermediate level of gamer, and not to mention the huge prize pool offered to the competitors of the esport tournaments, which makes some of them to may have planned of starting esports as a career. Besides, community of esports also grows bigger as time passes by. And taking example of MDL, MDL stands for MLBB Development League for the game Mobile Legend in Indonesia. In this league, the esports teams are focusing on recruiting new players to be trained by them, and this player will participate in the league, which will give them experience in the competitive scenes of gaming. And if they show good and amazing performance, the players will have chances in joining the professional tournament and becoming professional players for the teams. This makes that the development of new and talented player will continue.
Thirdly, professional gamers are now being recognized as athletes in several countries. In the United States, professional gamers can receive P1 visas, which are also granted to athletes from other sports. This is all possible due to the achievement that esports athletes have obtained in an international level, such as a World Championship tournament, thus getting recognition from the public and other organizations. Now, esports has evolved to a brand new standard from just being called a hobby, currently getting acknowledgement and appreciation on the same par as the other sports. For instance, in 2021, Team Secret Malaysia won the PUBG Mobile Pro League Southeast Asian Championship Season 4. At the moment, it is evident that a lot of Malaysia citizens, regardless age and interest, are all cheering and appreciating the team, thus getting recognition from the Malaysian Ministry of Youth and Sports and the public. So based on the points given, can be concluded as esports should be recognized as a sport.
Okay, now we look at the similarities between sports and esports. So there are three things in common about these two types of sports. First, which is participations. Second, duration, and last but not least, types of game of leagues. Now we look at the similarities between sports and esports. There are three things in common about these two types of sports. First, which is participation. Second, duration, and last but not least, types of game or leagues. First, participations. There must be someone participating in both actual sports and esports. The participants can be physically present or not. Participants keep the game moving and entertaining. Real sports participants are in physical location, move physically, and have physical players, which is same goes to esports. Next similarities is duration. Both actual sport and esports have a time limit for participation. both of these types of sports are provided time to play. The time will be set according to the organizer who runs a competition or according the rules that have been made by the creator. Last but not least, the similarities that I have found is types of game or league. There are always the same games or leagues in both real sport and esports. For example, in the actual world, there are multiple leagues and soccer teams that you can physically see and be fanatical fan of it. Soccer in esports also offers leagues which to pick in FIFA. You may choose the type of league you want to play and modify it to match units. That's all from me.
The differences between esport and sport can be seen in three different factors. The first one would be the location, the second one will be the complexity, and the third one would be the financial spending. For location, we can see that esport is not as location specific as sports. For sports, you need to have a specific location or spaces in order for it to be played. Meanwhile, for esport, players can easily use their smartphones or PC in order to connect with the servers and play with the players around the world without even have to meet in real life. The next differences is on complexity. For esport, the complexity is shown by how the players use their innovative mind and how their benefits, their skills in order to win without even have to do any major physical movement from their bodies. Meanwhile, for sport, in order for them to win, they did not just have to use their body, but they also have to use their minds and skills in order for them to execute it. Lastly, we can distinguish the factor of difference between esport and sport in the sense of the financial spending. As we all commonly know, most esport games can easily be played in the same devices such as PC or smartphones. Because of this, the financial spending for players would be majorly on electronics and games and can be used in the same devices. Whereas for sports, the financial spending is on fields and also the equipments, where different sports require different equipment and also different fields to make sure the athletes can get their hands not just the best equipment but also the best field for the best performance.